is your number one most valuable asset. Without it, literally nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how many spicy senoritas you have, how much money you make, the car that you drive. If you're not healthy, nothing else matters. Guys, today what I want to actually do is take you through chronologically what your body needs at various ages through the decades. We're going to start at 20, then we're going to go 30, 40, 50, and beyond. I am almost 50 years old, and I can tell you from experience that my body and my needs have changed drastically from the time I was 20, even 30. When I hit 40, I was like, okay, it's done. Now I'm almost 50, and my God, here's the deal. Today, I'm going to go over what you need to do at the various ages, physically, in terms of your workouts, dietary-wise, in terms of what you're consuming, micronutrient needs, not to mention some things for you to pay attention to, because as we age, certain things in terms of our health become bigger issues that you really need to pay attention to. We're gonna start in your 20s, all right? For you guys that are young, congratulations. This is the easiest it's gonna be. Literally, when you're in your 20s, you are in your peak physical condition most of the time. Your testosterone is rocking, your body is looking good, and you don't need to kill yourself in terms of diet not to get man boobs and love handles. But you also are experiencing more freedom than ever before, which is why it's critical for you to develop the habits now. It's a lot easier to start good habits in your 20s as opposed to trying to play catch up in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. Because the older you get, the more difficult it is and the harder it is for your body to actually respond to some of the lifestyle modifications you're making. The other reality is that as you age, a lot of the things that you didn't do catch up with you. You've got to have a baseline. I talk about this often, but until you know what's going on with your body in terms of blood work, you're not going to know where it's getting weird or if it changes. It's important in your 20s to develop a relationship with a physician, have blood work done, know your numbers, so that over the years, you're gonna have a better idea of what's changing. If you see something changing, it's a lot easier to jump on it then. In your 20s, this is the time when you really need to pay attention to a few things. Number one is your mental health. Typically what's going to happen is in your 20s, this is when men are most prone to experience some type of psychological issues. And so if you're feeling bummed out or extra depressed, you definitely need to pay attention to it. Men in their 20s and early 30s are most prone or likely to develop testicular cancer. And so it's a great idea to get into the habit of, on a weekly basis, feeling those bad boys. In the shower, roll around, right? Feel them, squeeze them a little bit, all right? And yes, one should be, or typically is, a little bit larger than the other. Don't freak out, that is normal. But the deal is, you've got to know if there's anything changing. If something is changing or you develop any type of knot or lump, go to the doctor, get it checked out, because if you catch something early, typically you can fix it. Next up, let's talk about fitness. In your 20s, congratulations. The new gains are still coming and they are strong. And you're probably strong as hell too, because you're young. And when you're young, you're strong. The testosterone is rocking and rolling. But once again, it starts with developing fundamental habits of going to the gym on a regular basis. You need to focus on strength training to build that muscle, to release that testosterone, but also flexibility, very important. It's going to be more important as you age, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but also cardiovascular. Don't do TRT or anything stupid like that. You don't need it. If you don't need it, you don't need it. You hear me? If you don't need it, you don't need it. Later on in life, maybe you will, but right now in your 20s, you are in peak physical condition. Now, let's talk about your diet. You got to start, once again, developing good habits now. If you start the bad habit of eating terrible and you start to allow your body fat to get up in terms of your body fat percentage, it's a lot more challenging to adjust or change these bad habits as you age. Staying lean, staying muscular, working on your body is critical. Eating healthy, making smart choices. Eating healthy is a habit. It doesn't taste bad to eat healthy. If you think that, you're not eating the right thing or you're not learning to prepare your meals properly. Sticking to lean proteins, more organic food is ideal now. When you're in your 20s, you're also not making a ton of money, so it's probably not like in the cards to spend tons of cash on like grass-fed beef, but the more healthy you can do now in terms of your diet, the better off you're gonna be long term. In terms of nutrients to pay attention to in your 20s, protein. Protein is critical for building lean muscle. Calcium. Right now in your 20s, your bones are still like forming and developing, and calcium is a critical aspect of making bones strong so that when you're older, you don't develop osteoporosis. Vitamin D, omega-3, fatty acid, also amazing and very, very important when you're younger, right? Brain health. All right, now a lot of you are like, dude, I eat salmon once a month. That's not enough. Guys, in my opinion, you should all start supplementing supplements now. In your 20s, you should absolutely start taking a high quality multivitamin. The one that I'd like to recommend is the Ritual Essential for Men. Ritual is today's video sponsor, but this bad boy is packed with 10 hard to get micronutrients from diet alone. In each 2 capsules, you get omega-3, vitamin A, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, vitamin K2, folate, vitamin B12, vitamin E, and boron. All the micronutrients in these are traceable, which is something I love. I know where the micronutrients are actually coming from. This multivitamin is amazing. I'm gonna have a link down below. The link is special. There's also a badass discount if you guys go through my link. Something else I'd like to talk about right here. All right, probiotics. The amount of badass benefits that you're getting from taking a probiotic on a regular basis is insane. Do a little Google search for benefits of probiotic, but this isn't just a probiotic. This is a prebiotic, a probiotic, and a postbiotic. It's got all 3. It's all about supporting your microbiome, all right? Gut health. You've heard gut health. Well, gut health has a lot to do with all sorts of different things in terms of you feeling amazing, looking great, and just kicking ass throughout your life. A simple thing you can do is take a probiotic at any age. If you're not taking one, you need this. If you're not taking one of these, you need this. Guys, I'm gonna have a link down below in the description. If you're interested in checking out either one of these products, or in my opinion, you should grab both of them together because they sell a bundle and you're gonna save some cash. If you go through my special link, you're gonna get an incredible deal off your first month of Ritual. Guys, do not wait, because the sooner you start giving your body the nutrients it needs, the better off it's gonna be for the long term. 30s. So when I hit 30, it was like my metabolism went F you. Because seriously, all of a sudden, all the things I couldn't eat them anymore. I gained a bunch of weight in my 30s and I got kind of fat. Now, the truth is that I moved in with my girlfriend, now wife, and she loved to cook, I loved to eat, so that was part of the problem. But 30s, I saw a dramatic decrease in my metabolism and my ability to eat crap and not gain weight. And so it's very important for you to modify your diet. If in your 20s you were eating shit, it's time to clean it up. The other thing that you're gonna notice in your 30s is that responsibilities start to increase. You get a little bit more stressed out. You got a better job. Maybe you got a family. Maybe you got a little kid. 30s is a very tough time for a lot of men. A lot of your buddies are getting married. You're getting married. You're not seeing and hanging as much as you did. You don't have as much time to go to the gym and pump iron, which is why finding and developing a schedule is even more important when you're 30 and not deviating from it. When I was in my 30s, my body started to fail me. I ruptured my Achilles tendon. I had a bleeding ulcer. All sorts of weird things started to happen. And when I went to get my Achilles tendon fixed, I'm like, Doc, why did this happen? He goes, we call this the weekend warrior injury. I go, what are you talking about? I'm a stud. He goes, you were a stud. Now you're about to be old. Old, I'll kick your ass. Exactly. I got all bent out of shape, but then it made me realize, oh my God, my body is not what it used to be, because your body is not what it used to be. A lot of the injuries you had when you were younger are gonna start to creep up on you. If you injured your knee, if you had a bad foot, if you had an issue with your shoulder, in your 30s, this is typically when you're gonna start to notice things are getting a little bit weird, which is why it's equally, or I should say vitally important for you to make sure you stay active. You've got to stay active. Do not let your body go to shit just because life has got a little bit crazy. Sleep. Sleep is another thing in your 30s that you really need to prioritize. All right, in your teens, you're sleeping all the time, not an issue. You also don't have a job yet or a career, so you're not super stressed out. In your 20s, you know, as long as you're not staying up too late, sleep isn't that big of a deal. But in your 30s, life starts to build up in your brain, and a lot of times it's difficult to shut it off at night. And if you are not sleeping, all sorts of bad shit happens to your body. Most of the time, insomnia comes from stress-related issues. You know, whether or not you can't shut it off, you're thinking about money, you're worried about your job, your weird Barry, Uncle Barry, oh my God, Barry, exactly, right? That's all the things that goes through your head when the lights go off. And so it's very important for you to manage stress in a healthy way. All right, all the binge drinking you did in your 20s, it's got to stop. Doctors, checkups, you got to keep doing it. Once again, it's about an annual physical, going and letting them basically do blood work to see where your numbers are. Once again, if you don't know where you're starting from, you're not going to know when something gets out of whack. And typically, if something starts to change within that year, it's in the early stages. It's when something started to change 10 years ago that all of a sudden, when you notice there's a problem, there's a big problem. Fucking 40s. Oh my God. It gets hard. It gets really hard in your 40s. Your body starts to change drastically. And even if you're eating healthy, even if you're working out like normal, things start to not look the same as they used to because your metabolism continues to slow. But something else that changes is your muscle mass. You need to prioritize strength training, cardiovascular exercise, and flexibility. These three things are going to be the foundation for you feeling physically incredible and being able to do incredible things after you retire and being an old man. You don't want to be that crippled dude or that dude that can't get off the couch because he's too weak. It starts when you're 20, but you got to keep it going. Like I said, it's about building habits for the long term. It's not just a thing you do once a week, once a month, it's a lifestyle. And if you adopt this as a lifestyle in terms of strength training, cardiovascular, flexibility, you are going to basically benefit yourself. You're also not going to age as fast physically as you age, if that makes sense, all right? Now, something else that didn't make sense to me is why did I have 5 precancerous polyps on my colon? All right, colorectal cancer. This is when it starts to really rear its ugly head. Also, heart disease starts to be an issue because a lot of people, a lot of men, didn't realize that they had any type of cholesterol or heart issue when they were younger. When they're in their 40s, right, they finally go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you've got congestive heart failure, you've got a blockage, you've got something going on. All right, a few tests that I personally would recommend is get a colonoscopy, see what's going on. If they can jam a camera up your butt to see what's happening, right? Typically, if they find something, they can remove it like they did me. I had 5 precancerous polyps the first time, and then you're cool. You go back in a few years, guess what? You got a few more. They remove those, I'm cool. I'm gonna go back in another few years. You manage it, you stay on top of it, you can fix it. You don't have to go down the rabbit hole of basically colon cancer, right? Heart. I went and had a calcium score done a few years ago. Calcium score. You lay down, MRI of your heart. It literally takes 5 minutes. It wasn't that expensive, and you get a score. The higher the score, the more at risk for a cardiac event you're going to have. All right, and so for me, I was a 2. The scale goes from 0, as in 0 detectable calcium, to like 1,000 or 2,000. If it's over like 150, your chances of having some type of cardiac event, aka a heart attack, in the next 12 months is like 70%. Chilling out with the alcohol is a good thing, all right? Just so you know, the recommended daily use or allowance of alcohol is 0. Like, that's what's recommended. To be as healthy as possible, don't drink. But if you are going to consume alcohol, you got to do it responsibly. Once again, it's about managing your stress and not doing some of the bad habits you did when you were younger, right? I was a binge drinker when I was younger, in my 20s, and even some of my 30s. I also used tobacco, which is something else I just like to recommend. If you are somebody in your 40s that is using tobacco, it is bad. It is bad at any age, but as you get older, it becomes a bigger issue because if you've been using it for a while, a lot of bad stuff can happen, right? For me, I was a smokeless tobacco user. I used to dip. I did 2 cans a day from the age of 18 to about 35. 2 cans a day. But I didn't want to be the dumbass that knew better and got cancer of the mouth and had to have my jaw removed. And so I finally did what I needed to do in order to quit. Was it easy? No. Is it possible? Absolutely. Hydration. In your 40s, your skin starts to get a little more old. And so you got to make sure you're doing the things you need to do in order to preserve that youthful look. All right, skincare. I say that it's like fitness for your face. You take care of your body. You got to make sure in your 30s, actually, you should start with skincare. But in your 40s, you're going to start to notice a little stuff happening. Wrinkles here, wrinkles there, and you're going to be like, damn, what's happening? You're getting older. That's what's happening. But if you start a skincare routine early and you do what you need to do in terms of your diet, eating healthy, and drinking enough water, 1 gallon of water a day, it is amazing how much younger you can look and feel, not to mention slow down the aging process. 50s, I'm almost there, and I'm okay with it. You know, aging and getting older hasn't bothered me as much as it did when I was younger. When I was younger, like when I turned 30, it was hard for me. But after that, it really became a lot easier, and I really feel like it's because I've become more comfortable with who I am and where I am in life. But in 50, or I should say in your 50s, it really becomes about managing issues that you've had. It's about monitoring to see where those changes are, which means you got to keep going to the doctor every single year. You got to be screened. Prostate cancer, and you're 50, boom, it skyrockets. Above 50, boom, it gets even higher. And prostate cancer, once again, very similar to like colorectal cancer, if you can just see that, oh, my PSA level is rising, right, you can treat it. You can do something about it before it becomes a bigger thing. Cardiovascular health also becomes a bigger issue in your 50s and beyond. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, in my 40s, I got a calcium score. I want to know what was going on with my heart, and so they can look in there. And so if they can look, let's see, right? But even more important for you to pay attention to your body. What's going on? All right, if you can't get Big Al to do what Big Al needs to do, it's basically like your body's check engine light, whether or not it's something cholesterol or heart related, or it's between the ears. A lot of the things or sexual issues that you have are because there's something going on upstairs in terms of anxiety or stress or depression or whatever it may be. You got to listen to your body. You also need to make sure you are strong. All right, you got to work out. Like I said, we lose muscle mass as we age. We also lose testosterone. Like I said, it goes down, it's not going up. But there are things that you can do in terms of your lifestyle in order to boost it up and keep it as high as possible. All of the things I've talked about in this video will help you maximize your testosterone and not actually need testosterone replacement therapy. All right, you got to know where it is though. Once again, it's about getting a baseline. And so you can go to your doctor when you're getting a blood test and say, hey, will you check my testosterone level so that you see where you are. And then before you actually just hop on testosterone, try to make some lifestyle modifications to naturally boost it up. One of the best things you can do is work out and lift weights. It basically is going to keep your muscles strong, keep your body strong, but also help your body release free testosterone. In terms of nutrients, vitamin D and calcium, two big ones, right? As we age, our bones lose density, and you don't want to get osteoporosis, and you want those bones to be strong, so if you fall, right, chasing a spicy senorita, you don't break your hip. Vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, multivitamin, and probably CoQ10, which is great for your heart. Guys, here's the deal. Aging, it's inevitable, but how you age, this is optional. This is, in my opinion, the plan that you should focus on. If you're not doing the things that you need to do now and you're at whatever age, you can change it. But it's a lot easier to change it at an earlier age so that when you get older, into your 30s, 40s, 50s, you feel and look amazing.